Hello, this is Arturelia Anime Room Reviews. I am Arturo, and today I'll be reviewing Ghost Hunt. Is, yes, about ghosts. And Ghost Hunt is probably an anime you may have heard of before, but probably not as well known as some other animes out there that has to do with maybe ghosts and stuff. I'm not sure. This is basically the only anime that I think I've watched that has like the subject of ghosts and hauntings. However, is Ghost Hunt something you would be interested in? If you've ever were into ghost things and you want something with that has to do with anime, well, this would probably be the show for you. Today, I will be reviewing Ghost Hunt. Let's go.
The policeman burst through the door and found the girl totally covered in blood, as if she had a red coat draped over her.
Ma, you know we hate it when you use that.
The story starts off with a girl who is attending high school, comes upon a man that is doing a case and his assistant. They are investigating an old house. As she ends up stumbling upon this case, a shelf almost crushes her, but his assistant saves her, but is hurt. She will soon join this man on the case, and thus this is where her journey in the ghost hunt begins. And soon after, other characters will join in on the ride through different stories of a haunting house to crazy supernatural stuff. I don't want to go into much detail of the story because, well, then that's just spoiling, right? The music, I can say, is actually pretty good for maybe a horror type show. And not to mention, the opening song, really great. And I like how they first, like the opening at first was like this, and then it turned into this, which the second one is better, obviously. The animation is actually pretty good, and I like the art style too. I mean, obviously the animation is older, but it's not that bad, to be honest. I mean, that, in my opinion, I don't think it's that bad. It actually looks really good. As for the characters of this show, well, they are pretty interesting. Mai is a high school student who later just has this big crush on Kazuha and can have visions of certain things that happened to victims in certain cases. She can be funny when she gets angry at Kazuha. She also has her moments of also just trying to do things on her own, and the others have to end up helping her, like Kazuha. And I don't know whether or not you will either find her likable or annoying. She has her quirks, but then she also has points where she... yeah. Kazuha, also known as Naru, that Mai calls him, is almost like a Sherlock type of guy, though emotionless. And when I mean emotionless, he barely has any expression, especially when it comes to the cases he's doing. I mean, look at him, he barely has any face expression. I mean, you could kind of fit him with Sherlock, who doesn't understand, like, people's emotions.
God is a ludicrous fiction dreamt up by inadequates who abnegate all responsibility to an invisible magic friend.
Out of most of the group, he's the serious one. He can say things like Sherlock, and is being smart about solving the answer when it comes to ghosts or supernatural stuff that happens. He can be the rude type who just says things without thinking. That will make him look rude, like Sherlock. Though he is interesting and he looks cool. He hides most of his feelings through the show. Yeah, that face. And by the end of it all, we see a secret that he has. Lin, who works for Naru, he kinda acts a little bit like Naru. Less emotional most of the time, but at points he shows it. He is cool like Naru or Kazuha, though most of the time he's just working on the computer. One story with him was with a case at a church, and him doing something. It's like, well, you would never see this character do that, just because the way his emotions are, and just the way his personality is. I can say he has an issue when it comes to the Japanese, which is reference to, yes, World War II. Hoshio is a Buddhist monk who uses his skills to deal with situations and cares for those with him, like Mai. And he kind of acts funny at points. And when he says things to Ayako, they just end up fighting. He is a pretty interesting character. Ayako is a shrine maiden. Most of the time, she only drives spirits. And Naru, like I mentioned, always says things to her that irritate her. Most of the time, the group thinks that she's never really doing anything to help when it comes to her letting out the ghosts with her powers. But near the end of the series, she gives us more information about her past and what her skills can achieve. John is a Catholic priest from Australia. He is helpful and uses his skills to deal with possession. And he is also very helpful when his friends need him. Masako is a spirit medium and is also a TV star. She uses her powers to sense ghosts or anything in certain cases. Like if there are spirits in a house or what. She has a crush on Naru, which also, yes, causes a lot of competition between Mai and her when it comes to Naru. There is another character that joins the group and also side characters that are pretty interesting, but I won't go into much details. But I can say these characters are interesting. And I actually really enjoyed their interactions with each other. I don't know, I just liked it. I mean, I liked how they were like dealing with certain situations. And believe me, you will enjoy their interactions. As for my enjoyment, well, to be honest, I really liked this anime. There is a strange thing when I started off. I only watched like 2 episodes, then I had a long hiatus of getting back to watching it. When I finally got the Funimation subscription, I went back and watched it again, starting from where I last started. And I have to tell you, every time I kept watching it and it ended in a cliffhanger, I just wanted to keep watching to see what happened next. I wanted to see what was the outcome. It just got to the point where I just couldn't stop watching it. And I sped through it like that. Because it was that addicting. I never thought I would get this addicted to an anime like that. Especially when it comes to ghosts. And I mean, in the fact that it's about, you know, a ghost story. I mean, I never would imagine I would really like this show. I mean, I really enjoyed how these characters interacted with each other. And how Naru solved the cases, like Sherlock Holmes. Or even how someone would find out about what's really going on during these cases. It really did have a lot of supernatural stuff. It got to the point where it was more supernatural than like just ghosts. But what I did like was how they used Buddhism and Christianity when it came to dealing with ghosts or demons. I will say it was just a fun ride from beginning to end. Now, I can't say this show isn't scary. Yeah, it's not. But it's a fun ride, and you'll get the thrill of just seeing them solve these cases. While it would be considered horror, you won't really be that scared. And how they will solve the murders or get out of chaos when things got really bad. I mean, really, I'm going to say it one more time. I really had fun watching this show.
Maybe the Serato person did something really bad and Kaneyuki didn't want anyone to find out.
That's a lot of trouble to go through. Why not just expose him?
Ghost Hunt. Some may not have heard of it. You may have missed it when you were skimming through animes to watch. This is an anime that I really liked. Characters are interesting. I liked the certain cases that they had to solve and how they interacted with each other. I mean, it's a fun ride to see I mean, mostly the show really charms with the characters, obviously. Certain cases are interesting. Others are kind of like the typical possessed demon, but you know, sometimes when you keep watching it and you figure out what it is, like with what Naru does, Sherlock. Yeah, I mean, it was an interesting show. I'm gonna give it an 8.5 out of 10. Great. It is a great anime. Some people may disagree with me just because, I mean, I liked it. I really liked it, but I don't know whether or not you people may like it as much as I did, but I really enjoyed it. It was a fun ride. this is why I'm giving it an 8.5 out of 10. If you're into anything that's Halloweenish, this could be the show for you to watch during Halloween. As for my recommendations, there is another ghost story. I think it's just called Ghost Stories. Yeah, right here. There's another. I can't really think of what else that can be like that has to do with ghosts. But if you want other horror things that don't even relate to ghosts, I mean, there's Hellsing. Maybe Parasite the Maxim. Oh, Tokyo Ghoul. Anyways, these are the ones I can think of that have like the horror genre. Well, this is Arturelia Anime Room Reviews signing off.